can't stop. A family shop. Think Thayer. Come on, let's get rolling. Come on, let's get moving. Think Thayer.
Welcome to Falcon Hockey Weekly. I'm Jason Knavel, subbing in for Voice of Falcon Hockey, Evan Pivnik, here with Coach Bergeron today. Coach, let's just start by reviewing the Michigan Tech series this past weekend.
Not exactly what we were looking for. You know, we didn't get off to a very good start the first period on Friday night. No real reason for that other than a lack of execution. I don't think it was intensity. I don't think it was a willingness to compete. Our guys wanted to do that, and quite honestly, looking at the tape, we were doing a whole lot going north, and what Michigan Tech did was take advantage of that, and that's what ultimately happened. So we didn't execute very well. We were down 2 goals 3 different times in that game and kept fighting back and ended up getting a 4-4 tie. Ultimately, looking back at that game, felt pretty good about the 1 point. Saturday night, thought we started much better. We still got outshot in the first period, but thought that we got a goal in the first minute of the game. We thought we were in a good spot. Then all of a sudden, we give up a goal late in the first period, which has become a little bit of an Achilles heel for us doing that. And then we give up. We have a 5-on-3 opportunity in the second period, and what normally is a goal turns into a goal against, and now we're down 2-1. And we weren't really able to recover from those 2 plays in particular. And, I think the third period was probably the worst period of our weekend. So ultimately, one of 4 points at home is never the goal. I don't care who you're playing, and we haven't put ourselves in a spot where we can't make up for that weekend. But right quickly here, we turn around and play another very difficult opponent, except the difference is now we're going the road.
Yeah, and I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the crowd a little bit from this past weekend, and really the last 4 games almost. Yeah. I know relevancy to you within the community is important. I thought the crowds were pretty good this weekend.
Yeah, I don't say it enough, Jason. Our crowds have been outstanding. The atmosphere in the building with people in it, and I don't care what the number is. I mean, I think somebody told me it was in the 2000s. It's hard for me to think that there's space for 2,000 more people than what was here on Saturday night, but our crowds have been really strong. That just shows me that people both on campus and off within our community are hungry for Bowling Green hockey to be better and to be in the conversation of winning championships. And it didn't matter that we weren't playing Michigan or Ohio State or some of these traditional name places, quote unquote. I mean, I'm not saying Michigan Tech isn't a name within the hockey community, but I don't think in the Bowling Green community it would not. I don't see a lot of Michigan Tech fans where you see Michigan and Ohio State fans, so they come out just because of that. So I hope the relevancy and the perception of what's going on within Falcon hockey is changing. The people in the building says it is, and that's a good thing, and we're so happy and appreciative for the fan support that we do have.
And then coming off of Saturday night in the post-game press conference, you talked about not letting that loss affect you guys long term. How do you feel the team has kind of bounced back?
Yeah, I was saying this earlier this morning, Jason. I don't think it was as big of a deal to them as it was for us. I mean, they're pretty resilient guys. They're 18 to 22-year-old young guys, and I'm not saying they don't care what happened Saturday by any means. I'm not saying that. I just think they're able to let things go. And Monday morning was a pretty typical day. We went to the weight room and we had a pretty typical Monday practice. So there doesn't seem to be any lingering effects from a mental standpoint about what happened on Saturday. Regardless of what goes on this weekend, I don't think our guys dwell much on the past, and that's a good thing. We want to focus on each day and take each day as it comes, and worry about the games when we get there, and then not worry about them anymore once they're behind us, and ultimately that's what I think our guys are doing.
Sure. Let's switch gears now a little bit and look ahead to this weekend, and Minnesota State's a team that, they're a handful for you guys. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Minnesota State.
Well, like Michigan Tech, they're so similar. First and foremost, they're 2 programs that we want to be like. We want to be we want to win championships. We want to be in national tournaments, and these 2 teams have done that. Their depth is what comes to mind to me. They're a confident bunch. They'll come at you with 4 groups of forwards, the forward lines. They'll come at you with 3 groups of D, and then goaltending that. If it's not one guy, it's another. I mean, they play the game fast, which we want to be like. They play the game hard. I just, you know, they're a very difficult matchup for anybody. But again, they're a team that we're trying to develop a rivalry with, and I think a rivalry has developed since we've been in this new league, playing in playoff games and playing a bunch of hockey against them. So it's a challenging weekend, but it's a fun weekend to be in. And like I said last week, these are series and games that we want kids to come to Bowling Green to play in, and not only to play in, but to be successful and take advantage of and execute and all that kind of stuff. So we're still building towards that. Last weekend shows there's work to be done. We know there's work to be done. But what we're facing this weekend is very similar in terms of on paper, in terms of depth, in terms of leadership, in terms of success and confidence like we faced last weekend. And we're going to have to do better than we did last weekend for sure.
Sure. And I'm sure, you know, fans and community, they know the league standings and they know where we're at. Do you guys internally within the program, how much do you talk about it and what this series might mean?
Well, we don't talk about it a whole lot, Jason, but thinking that our kids aren't talking about it amongst themselves or you know, we don't ignore it. We're not putting our head in the sand and pretending. We know where we are. We're in a spot where we've played the same number of games as basically everybody now. I think there's one or two that have played two less. We're 2 points behind and we're 2 points ahead. We're 2 points behind of one and 2 points ahead of three. We can talk about that. You know, does that affect our preparation? No. Does that affect our mindset? No. But not talking about it, to me, then you've got an elephant in the room, and I want to talk about that. You know, we've put ourselves in a tough spot with the pairwise. That's real. But we're still in a great spot to win a regular season championship, and that starts this Friday against the team we're chasing. We can talk about that. We have talked about that. And again, I want to be in this conversation every year moving forward. That means we're doing good things. So I think pretending that we're not in this or not in this situation by burying our head in the sand or not talking about it, I just don't think that's fair to our program. Now, we're not going to dwell on it, but we do give it its due diligence and then put it aside and go back to work.
You've mentioned you've got a lot of games coming up after that still that are going to be very important as well. You don't want to.
And that's always a fear of a coach. You put so much emphasis on a weekend or on a game. If it doesn't go well, then you're, you know, and I just don't think that's the group we have. You know, I don't. And again, it has nothing to do. They want to win as bad as anybody, but I don't think they let things linger and let what happened yesterday affect them today. I really don't. So we'll our focus on this weekend is to go up to Minnesota State and play the best hockey we can play by executing, by paying attention to detail, have purpose, and ultimately make sure our process is good. The results will hopefully take care of themselves if we're doing things right from a process perspective, and if they go our way, great. If they don't, we pick ourselves up and go back to work.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.